Hannah here from Amani Trust. Today I'm super excited to be interviewing Joshua Nanyaro. Now, you may have heard of him. If you haven't and you live in Botswana, then you live under a rock. But he is a very bright student who happened to be the top A-level learner in the whole world. He was first place in A-level in the world, top in the world for information and technology, first place in Botswana for A-level, top in Botswana for A-level chemistry, as well as A-level mathematics and A-level physics. And he got the best across three, first in Botswana for A-levels. And also, he happens to be somebody who I've known since he was in diapers, literally. So this is super exciting for me. Joshua, we're so proud of you and welcome.
Thank you.
So, I guess we'd like to start off by giving a bit of background history. So if you could just take us through your education from where you did your primary school up until this moment where you're done with A-levels.
Okay. In primary, I went to primary school at Mopato Primary School. From standard 1 up to standard 7, I wrote my PSLEs there and they were average, I didn't really care about school in that period of time, so I was more or less just attending. I did my PSLEs. Then for Form 1, I went to Silipa CJSS here in Francistown. And I could say that's where I really started thinking about my future and started picking up the pace to the point where I had to try to convince my parents, okay, send me back to Mopato so I can actually start pushing harder. So then in Form 2, I went to Mopato High School where I did my Form 2 to Form 4 and I wrote my IGCSEs there. I did very well in my IGCSEs and came out with 9 A stars and a national award in IGCSE Literature and English. I was the top student in Botswana. After that, I went to Clifton College and I ended up getting a scholarship to attend the school. So as I attended the school, I did my AS and A-level there. In AS, I did IT, physics, maths, and chemistry, and I wrote my AS exams there, and I came out with a top student in chemistry for AS, and then A-levels, I did them there as well, and I came out again with all these awards that you see here. So it's been quite an interesting journey, I'd say, but a worthwhile one.
That's awesome. Thank you for taking us through that. And you did mention how you went to Mopato, right? And then you did really well in IG. So I want us to tell, because I know a little bit about your story. So for those listening, I want you to tell them a little bit about how you actually got a full scholarship for Clifton College in AS, right?
Okay, so after I did my IGCSEs, I did really well in my IGCSEs. I came out with 9 A stars and I said, listen, I can leverage this somehow. So I approached the headmaster in Clifton College because my brother used to attend Clifton College on a scholarship as well. So I went there, his name is Mr. Marisa. I said, Mr. Marisa, I'd like to attend your school. Here are my results. My brother was actually here formerly on a scholarship as well. Would it be possible for me to get sort of the same deal? And he said, okay, Joshua, hold on. He left the office for just like 5-10 minutes. He said he had to go talk to the board members. And after that, he gave me the go-ahead. It was literally, the day I got the scholarship was literally my birthday. So
Wow.
I'm like, okay, nice birthday present. And I started the following Monday, smooth sailing from there on.
That's awesome. So you had to be a little bit of a go-getter to get some of these opportunities.
Definitely.
That's great. Okay, so please tell us a little bit about juggling your schoolwork and your academics with a social life as well as extracurricular activities, because I know a lot of people are going to look at your results and be like, okay, is this kid like a nerd who does nothing else but study? So is that true? I mean, I know you have friends and stuff. So how did you find that balance? How many hours a day would you study? Mm-hmm. What was your life like, basically? Would you only study when there's exams, or would you be more consistent? Yeah, how did you do it? Even I want to know.
Okay, so how it went was right from the word go when I got to school, I knew I couldn't be behind. I had to be ahead because as soon as you go even a little bit behind, it just starts compounding and compounding. So I developed a system where every day after school, I just come home, go to bed, wake up, and then late in the night, where I know nobody can disturb me really, I study for a good 4 hours every day, Monday to Friday. Weekend I took a bit of a break, but Monday to Friday I'd study about 4 hours every night. Just there, luckily I had a room in my desk, so I had a nice private area to work, and I just worked consistently, finish any assignments I had to do, make sure I knew my syllabi, do any past papers, anything I knew to improve myself so that I know the day coming forward, I'm more than well equipped for the day. I do it. Then in terms of balancing with extracurriculars and social life, you have to sacrifice a little bit here and there. I mean, there's no avoiding that. So especially like my friends are also very hard workers. So during the time we were working, we'd all be working sort of at the same time. And then when we need to go out, it would be more calmer and relaxed times throughout the year. But you know, of course, when it's like going to exam season, you can't be having friends that are telling you, let's go to a party when you have exams literally the next week. So I think it is definitely the people I surround myself with understand that sometimes you have to just put your head down and work. But when it comes to extracurriculars, some of that study time went towards my extracurriculars. Like for example, I was known really for public speaking and debate and all that. So I'd use some of that time to sort of prepare any speeches I had going forward or anything like that. And also throughout the school day, you know, instead of hanging out with my friends all the time, there's those periods where there's nothing really going on. I just use that time to do any extra work I had or prepare for anything. But otherwise, sometimes there's some things you always have to sacrifice, be it sleep, be it times with friends, be it maybe even your extracurriculars a bit. You just find a way to juggle all of them, and at the end of the day, it all balances out in smooth sailing.
That's so true, and that's excellent advice, and I'm quite impressed that you're actually learning that at such a young age. That's awesome. And yeah, I think I'm getting a lot of what you're saying. You're saying friends is really important, the people you surround yourself with, and making the most of the time you have. Any free time you have, you try and maximize that. So you mentioned how you'd always make sure you're prepared. Would you pre-read for your classes?
I read ahead for my classes. I remember I was so scared for like chemistry, physics, or any of those classes. So I literally, like, the day before, the week before, I'd read ahead of the teacher or where we are in the class. And I'd be like, okay, this is what we're gonna cover. I try my best to make sense of it on my own so that when the teacher comes and presents it to me, I can have a clearer understanding, and I'm not so lost in class. I can actually grasp what he's saying in the moment. Of course, there's gonna be times where you do need that guidance, but most of the time I would read ahead of the class, and I'd come to class prepared, like knowing what we're going to talk about or knowing what I'm supposed to do.
Excellent. So you were like always ready for any kind of test.
I always made sure any test I knew I wouldn't play about those tests. I'd make sure any test we're about to write, I'd make sure like I know what's happening, and I try always to be at the top in the class, or like just push myself as much as I can to make sure I can like pass the test, any single test that comes, even if it's a surprise test. I'd be in my room like, what if he brings the test tomorrow? And I just continue writing. So yeah, I'd always try to make sure I'm on top of my game.
Your teachers must have been super impressed with you.
Yeah, I guess so. I'd say I was one of the favorites. I mean, I did pass all of it. Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about your study skills and study methods. What worked for you? Are you more of like a reader? Would you write your own summaries of what you've learned? What are your study methods, and what are the key things that you'd really advise people to do?
How I studied. So first I break down, remember that 4 hours I mentioned earlier? Usually I break it down into 2-hour segments. I'd say, okay, 2 hours I'm doing this subject, 2 hours I'm doing this subject, and I just rotate what subject I'm doing every day. Then within those 2 hours, before I started tackling questions on a particular topic or anything, I pull up my syllabus for school. There's always a syllabus available online. So I pull up the syllabus and say, okay, I want to cover this specific topic. So under the syllabus, it's very useful information. It gives you all the definitions, all the formulas you're supposed to know, and everything like that. And on top of that, I would use free available online resources, something like Khan Academy or say my exams or physics and maths tutor, they always have extra notes available. We'd also get textbooks from school that I'd be able to use. And so once I tell myself, okay, I have a clear understanding of this topic, now I'd actually go and grab a past paper question based on that topic, and I'd answer that question and make sure I answer it, and I look at the marking scheme. Is my answer okay? If it's okay, cool, I can move forward and just repeat for that particular topic. So I do that for all my subjects, and once I've satisfied myself and I finish the syllabus, I go through the syllabus a couple times again. I could literally remember every single line in some of my syllabi. Like, okay, in this specific line, this is exactly what I'm supposed to know. Because another thing, teachers usually have this thing where they might give you extra information that you might not need, or they might not give you the actual information you need. They could miss specific stuff that's necessary for you to know and just not tell you. So you end up finding out in the exam, like, oh, why am I being asked this question? I didn't know this was there. So I'd always make sure like I knew my syllabus 100%, and I'd always tackle past paper. So I go through my syllabus a couple times throughout the year, doing that method of doing past paper questions. Once I've satisfied myself that I know my syllabus like very well, I'd start just doing past papers. I think for my A levels, I literally had a whole folder where I think I had like over 100, 200, 300 past papers. I literally just did past papers, and I did them efficiently as well. So I wouldn't just like take a paper, print it out, and write every single sentence. I'd like, for example, if it was a theory question, like explain this concept or whatever, I just look at it and I'd say it out loud, and immediately after I say it, I check the marking scheme. Is what I said correct? Then I look at, they like breaking down the points into specific points. So if it's a 3-mark question, they'll say, okay, for the first mark you need this, for the second mark you need this, for the third mark you need this. So I try to remember what I said and analyze what I said to make sure that aligns with that. Because writing it down does take a lot of time, and it's not really maximizing the amount of time. So like 2 hours is not a lot of time, but you'd find using this method, just answering the theory questions in your head or like speaking them out loud, and then I'd actually write down the questions I actually had to do, any calculations I had to do. I could do maybe 2-3 past papers within those given 2 hours. And if you're doing that every day per subjects, over the period of the year, you actually make a significant amount of progress. So that's just the method that worked for me. Of course, everybody has different methods. Some people like writing little notes, some people like doing this, some people like doing that. That's just not what worked for me, because I've tried all of those methods. I think another big part of it was experimentation. At the beginning, I'd say I really started developing my study habits in Form 3, because I was getting into my IGCSE. So I started experimenting. I like write notes, I try do full past papers, I do whatever. So I experimented and say, okay, this is what really works for me. And I just improved upon that method and sort of tried to perfect it. And that's where it got me right now, yeah.
Wow, that's awesome. And listening to you speak, I can tell that you're highly motivated, right?
Yeah.
Definitely. To devote that amount of time every single day consistently, you have to have a goal in mind.
Yeah.
And my question would be, what motivates you? What made you work so hard? What kept you going every single day, dedicated to this?
I think a big part of it was seeing my parents work so hard to provide like a really good future for me. I told myself I have to take advantage of this opportunity. And also I think I just really have a big drive to see more of the world, because there's a lot more out there than we're really exposed to in this small city of Francistown. So even from a young age, I'd always tell myself, I want to see, like we'd see this stuff on TV shows. We look at like Canada, America, all these fancy civilized places, we hear about them wherever we go. And I told myself, I want to see for myself what is actually going on there. And the only sustainable path I really found was making sure my academics were top of the game. So I really pushed myself to achieve that dream. And yeah, now I guess I'm achieving it.
That's awesome. So now, I know you've gained a lot of opportunities based on your results.
Yeah.
Definitely they've opened doors for you. So what's next for you? Where are you going for university? Of course, with such grades, the goal is university.
Yeah.
So tell us a bit about that.
So the application process, before I get into where I'm going, the application process was quite difficult, especially not having many people around me who could really advise me on like how to apply, what to do. So a lot of the stuff was figuring it by myself over the internet. So I did apply to about 3 countries in total. I applied to the UK, the US, and Canada. And throughout the application process, I really learned a lot. It was quite difficult, and even with like crazy results, as you said, I didn't get accepted everywhere I went to. It is definitely a challenge, and the world is quite competitive. There's people smarter beyond your imagination, beyond I could say.
I still find that ridiculous. You're top in the world. How is this possible that you don't get accepted everywhere?
But there's definitely many people, especially because when it comes to applications, they look beyond your academics. Like you said, you also have to make sure your extracurriculars are quite decent as well and notable and noteworthy. So I did apply to a lot of places, and the main 2 that really got back to me and were really like solid opportunities for me, because at the same time, my parents wouldn't be able to afford an education abroad because it's simply too expensive, especially when you're comparing salaries abroad to like over here. It's simply too expensive. So I really had to look for places where I could leverage my results and gain scholarship opportunities. And the 2 that got back to me that I could say were decent opportunities was the University of Toronto in Canada and Princeton University and in America. So I ended up deciding on Princeton University because I really like the location. I really like the ethos of the school, and I really like the community it's built itself around. So I'm very excited to be attending Princeton University this August. Yeah.
Awesome. You're going to an Ivy League school?
Ivy League, yeah.
That's awesome. And what are you going to be studying?
I'll be studying computer science, and I plan on taking a minor in statistics and machine learning.
Awesome. What motivated you to study computer science? What made you know it was for you?
I've always kind of been best friends with computers. When I was young, we used to have like a really old busted up computer at home that I just spent hours on because it was so interesting to me that I'd have all these images displayed on screen, and I could draw and I could type and I could do whatever I wanted. And even throughout my educational journey, my main resource that I could truly say helped me the most was my computer, because the resources I had on the internet that really helped me were unparalleled. So just having my computer all the time, I would use my computer more than I look at like my notes from school and like my books. Sometimes I wouldn't even have a notebook. I literally just have my computer screen there. I'd be scrolling. So I can really say it's a really powerful resource that everybody in the world sort of needs to use. So I really want to better understand how to take advantage of it and use it, and hopefully do some interesting things with the knowledge I gain in the future. Yeah.
I'm sure you will.
Yeah.
We'll stay tuned, I'm
We'll
sure.
see.
I'm sure you will. That's really awesome.
Yeah.
And not to negate your extracurricular activities, because I know you did as well achieve some impressive things there too.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about that. What extracurricular activities were you involved in, and how did you do in them? How did you fare in them? Did you see them as something to take seriously? Was it more like a recreational thing?
I'd say half and half. Some I did purely for the enjoyment. Like I participated in sports mostly just for enjoyment. I had a little bit of a drama club going on, which I also was mostly just for enjoyment. I didn't take it very seriously. But then others, which suited themselves better to the skills I had. I'm very much known for public speaking and debate. So those were the ones I took a bit more seriously. I'd always spend hours preparing for any speeches I had or any debate topics I had. And then recently, last year, we had a moot court competition, which is basically where we pretend to be lawyers. So we're given a court case, we're given the specifics of the case, and we're told which treaties or which laws we should use to build our argument. So it's a really intense preparation. We spent like a couple months just preparing a really big document to send forward ahead of the competition, me and my partner. And we were both doing this without anybody really to guide us. We just did it for the passion of rhetoric, of discussion, of public speaking. So we went for the competitions at the High Court in Gaborone, representing Clifton College. We ended up winning that competition and were chosen to represent the country at large in the African competitions in Tanzania. Ended up winning those as well. So I can really say extracurriculars that played on to the strengths I have naturally, I did take more of a serious effort on, which I would recommend people would do. You play to your strengths instead of devoting time to something that might not take you very far.
That's excellent advice.
Yeah.
You're so wise for your young age. Even though you're not that young anymore, but I still see you as a baby.
Okay.
Okay, so what would you say is the importance of a support system? Do you feel that you had a good support system, and what role do they play?
As far as the support system, I definitely say my parents, of course, for providing me in every way they can, and even my siblings. So frequently I had to go take exams for applications. Like I had to go write SATs, I had to go take entrance exam.
That's right.
So I have a sister in Haborani, and she'd always give me accommodation and always take me to wherever I needed to be to make sure I got those exams done. And even within the school, I'd say the teachers and the friends I have really helped keep me sane for the most part, and actually helped me achieve everything I needed to achieve. They were always there for me when I needed them. So yeah, a support system is very beneficial just to keep you together, because as easy as it looks, it is actually quite hard. So having people around you to tell you to keep you going, to inspire you, to encourage you is very important if you're trying to become successful.
Absolutely, and it doesn't look easy,
Yeah.
by the way. Not at all. Okay, that's great. What would you say could be added to the education system today to enhance the performance of students? Do you feel that there's anything that students can benefit from that could be added to the education system, or do you feel that everything is okay?
I think there should be more of a focus on really bringing these computer skills to the younger generation, because like I said, that's one of the major things that really helped me. But when I was in school, frequently a lot of the people wouldn't have any knowledge of these resources, or that even the internet or a computer could be used in such a way as to actually benefit you. So I really say increasing ICT skills and just general knowledge about technology, especially about the internet, because it's starting to become an essential facet of our lives. So people really have the knowledge on how to take advantage of it. I think in the long run, it could really help bolster our education system. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much. This has been enriching and enlightening. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
I think I just want people to know that it's possible for you to do it as well. I'm not really anybody special. I wouldn't consider myself anybody special. I just told myself.
What's your IQ?
I don't know. I've never taken an IQ test.
Okay.
But if you were to talk to some of my friends, they know I'm not like that super brainiac kid.
Yeah.
I don't always talk about nerdy things. I like to have fun. I like to party a bit too. But if you really put your head down and work towards something, and the interesting thing about working hard is that it's possible for anybody to work hard. As long as you decide to do it and you do it consistently and you do it honestly, you can achieve whatever you wish to achieve. So it's really possible for anybody to do it, and it doesn't take anybody special, born a certain way from a certain place, to accomplish anything like this. So I want everyone to know that they can do it too.
Awesome. And do you have any influences or role models, people that inspired you?
People that inspired me. I don't know. I'd say I tried to inspire myself.
Well, you definitely inspired a lot of us. So well done, and we wish you all the best in this journey that you have ahead.
Yeah.
And we're super excited to see where the future takes you. Thank you so much for being here with us today. And to those listening, thank you so much to our viewers. We hope you enjoyed this. Please share it, please like, please subscribe, and catch you later.